After all that talk about doing it for the employees, using deceitful tactics to exploit overtime pay from the employees, I cannot leave the company in the hands of such a person. You are dismissed. The beautiful company's CEO Brianna was set up by the vice CEO and ended up getting dismissed. I will accompany you till the very end. Accompany me, then follow me. And so, I also quit to follow Brianna. I owed so much too. I ended up establishing a new company together with the Brianna there. I demonstrated abilities that I had been hiding from those around me until now. I can believe you can do these things. You're no ordinary person, are you? Tell me who you really are. The beautiful company CEO Brianna approached me. My name is Ethan Davis, 27 years old. I work as a programmer at an ID company called Best. I originally liked games, and from there I taught myself programming. So, I didn't graduate from a specialized school. The reason I thought to try programming is probably largely due to the influence of a friend I met in college. I was originally studying law at the Faculty of Law. However, a friend who had been in the Information Systems Department of the Faculty of Engineering suddenly transferred in. Apparently something influenced him and he abruptly decided he wanted to become a lawyer, leading to this. He's 4 years older than me, but he studied hard and has now truly become an amazing lawyer. I'm not very good at socializing, but for some reason, he and I hit it off and became friends. My friend's name is Kevin Thompson. Games are made with programming, too, right? I'm interested, but how do you do it? When I asked that, Kevin bluntly said this: just being taught won't make you improve. If you're interested, why not look into it yourself? Saying that he didn't teach me anything. This actually lit a fire in my heart and I got more and more into programming. I didn't enter the Faculty of Law with a particular desire to become a lawyer or prosecutor. Well, I entered thinking it would be a versatile degree, so I couldn't study as hard as Kevin. After enrolling, however, programming seemed to suit me. I studied on my own, and while in school, I mastered various languages and became able to write a variety of programs. Being like that, of course, after graduating college, I wanted to get a job at an ID company. However, every company asked why someone graduating from law wanted to come to them. And with my lack of interpersonal skills, job hunting was a series of rejections. In the end, the only place that hired me was Bessemer, where I work now. You got a job at that company despite being a socially awkward guy who did uneven study this field. So, be grateful to them. Kevin said that cynically, as always, but still seemed happy about my job offer. In this way, I joined Bessemer in high spirits. But upon actually joining a working life, far from what I imagined was waiting for me. The regular employees at the ID company were regular in name only, and in reality were treated as temp staff dispatched to other companies. It's what's called specified worker While it was abolished due to legal reforms since it placed too much burden on employees, at least at Bessemer, it remained in a similar form as a systems engineering service. I was also approached about being posted at a famous manufacturer more than 2 hours one way and refused at first, but then the sales office manager, Sullivan, said this to me: listen up, this isn't a request or a confirmation, it's an order. If you say you don't want to do it, I'll fire you. If I got fired from Bessemer, the only place that hired me, I'd have nowhere else to go. Job hunting again now would be almost reckless, and with my poor social skills, it's totally possible I'd get rejected everywhere again. Thinking that would be problematic for me after deciding to make a living in the ID industry, I had no choice but to reluctantly follow orders from above. As a result, I spent 5 hours commuting round trip every day. Just that alone exhausted my body. And when I got too tired, my brain stopped working. I got to a state of only going home to sleep, and most days I couldn't even eat proper meals. I fell into a total negative spiral of working at a black company and was on the verge of having a mental breakdown. But it was then that a savior appeared with the amendment of the worker dispatch law. This way of working should have been eliminated. So why are you still doing this? Brianna, the CEO's daughter, raised an objection to the CEO on our behalf. Young lady, you don't yet understand how the real world works. If we did that, Bessemer would go under. Apparently, Vice CEO Martinez opposed it, saying that, but Brianna strongly voiced her opinion and convinced the CEO, and so she greatly improved the treatment of employees. The CEO was a self-made man from the old days and seemed to think that the relationship between a company and its employees was like parent and child and that they should accommodate each other to some degree. With that mindset, even when unpaid overtime and working on holidays continued like in the past, he didn't pay it much mind. Those who experienced that in their own era probably don't understand what's abnormal about that situation. Indeed, Maybe it was like that in the past, but now there are more and more companies that think of employees as just another part. Tyrannical parents use force to control and unilaterally make their children work. And Bessemer was exactly like that. Brianna took the time to explain that to the CEO and made him understand. The CEO originally had no knowledge of ID and such. Apparently, when he was running an office equipment wholesaler, he had an insight that the age of computers and the internet was coming and switched to the current industry. At that time, he completely left things to Vice CEO Martinez, who knew a bit more about it back then, and it became a typical black company. Our performance is steadily declining. We have to cut costs wherever we can to get by. Surely, even you can understand that much, young lady, but still, it's wrong to make the employees bear that burden, right? First, we need to make this a company where employees can work with a sense of purpose. If we do that, performance will naturally improve as a result. Martinez desperately opposed Brianna, but apparently, Brianna didn't accept it. Around that time, the CEO got sick and needed to be hospitalized for surgery. Fortunately, it was Codley, so his life wasn't in danger, but the CEO decided to leave the company to Brianna for the future as well, and so Brianna became the new CEO. I'm still inexperienced, but please lend me your strength, everyone. Bessemer is a company that will walk together with all of you going forward. I intend to properly improve our work systems. We welcomed the new CEO's appointment with thunderous applause, but there were some who were unhappy about it and were secretly working to drive out the CEO, which no one noticed at the time. One day, the Labor Standards Inspection Office suddenly came for an investigation. The investigation was regarding unpaid overtime. They said an anonymous employee had reported it. We value our employees. We absolutely do not engage in such practices, Brianna confidently explained, bringing out the books there. Overtime pay properly recorded down to the minute since the new system was implemented was entered, but apparently that wasn't the problem. What? Our overtime system? That's impossible. According to the Labor Standards Office, the software for entering overtime hours at client sites apparently had a function to automatically cut hours. No way. When we checked right after being told that functions certainly existed, the first hour is automatically cut when entered, and anything under 30 minutes after that is also cut. A 30-minute break time was incorporated after working hours automatically making 2 hours of overtime and paid. We were harshly reprimanded by the Labor Standards Office on that point and told there would be further guidance if it was you and promptly improve going forward. And that fact was leaked, resulting in Bessemer being called out as having issues here and there. As a result, Brianna was dismissed at the shareholders' meeting, even after talking so much about doing it for the employees. Using tactics to deceive the employees who trusted you and exploiting their overtime pay? We can't leave the company to such a person. Martinez is the vice CEO and also a shareholder. He owns a considerable number of shares as the vice CEO. Of course, Brianna also owns shares, but apparently Martinez skillfully won over the other executives and shareholders, and the dismissal resolution passed with a majority. And with Martinez appointed as the next CEO, Bessemer was effectively taken over. The shareholders' meeting ended, and she came out looking gallant, suppressing an expression on the verge of tears. Seeing Brianna silently cleaning up her personal belongings and preparing to leave the company, I unintentionally said this: I will accompany you, Brianna, accompany me. Even if you follow me, you will not get any treats. You know Brianna says that with a smile, but that smile is feeble. That's understandable. After all the employees who have been sucking up to Brianna until now are only looking out for themselves, wanting to stay at the company, and turning a blind eye. But I understand their feelings too. When you have family and things you want to protect, even if you know it's wrong, you become conservative. And so, I also quit. And as a result of discussing what to do going forward, Brianna and I decided to establish a new company together. Are you sure about this? Doing this? I might be a sinking ship. You know, it's fine. Actually, I want to do this. We don't know yet if it'll sink. Under Brianna, we decided to engage in the ID-related business she's skilled at after all. Since you're the only employee, it'll mainly be a job of selling the software we create. But that's okay, right? I said that to Brianna, and in a big hurry, I made several pieces of software that seemed like they could become products. I made them available by subscription, the so-called subscription model, where the service can be used for a fixed price, and started selling. And that software was a huge hit. After all, I know well what kinds of software are in demand by what kinds of customers. Plus, the trust from customers I built while working at Bessemer is strong. And when they actually used it, They recognized its high performance, and the number of customers spread like leaves thickly growing on the branches of a tree in early summer. This dealt damage to Bessemer. After all, the companies where employees had been dispatched until now were successively shrinking their contracts. The work they had outsourced to Bessemer until now. We pitched software that could do it for much cheaper, and our company would handle the maintenance. There's no need to take on dispatched employees charging high hourly rates. So, it's the natural result. I deliberately developed software targeting the work that would damage Bessemer. Of course, just installing the software doesn't completely eliminate the need for dispatched employees. Naturally, personnel come in, not just from Bessemer, but other companies too. But by streamlining the overtime hours of dispatched employees are overwhelmingly reduced. When I was dispatched from Bessemer to a major corporation, I was valued for finishing work in much less time than the estimated hours. But if I did that, I'd get yelled at by Sullivan, the office manager. Listen, if it's a 30-hour estimated job, take 40 hours to do it. Don't you get? That's for the company's sake. We were rented out at an hourly rate. So, they often told us to earn pay, especially overtime pay like that. So, I, who finished work quickly and accurately, was treated as useless by the company. If you have free time, go help out with the other guy's work, but drag it out slowly. Got it? And so we'd actually take many times longer than the real work to drag it out. I was told many times that employees who can do that are the excellent ones. But for me, this was humiliating and painful. However, now I can fully demonstrate my abilities. This is what gives work a sense of worth. And so, the ID company, Brian Tech, that Brianna created steadily expanded its performance and decided to recruit new employees. There were even offers from colleagues who had remained at Bessemer until now. Of course, we accepted those we thought would be useful and rejected those who wouldn't. Business is a severe thing. I first advised the CEO to be thorough with employee education. First is creating capable employees. Employees who can proudly say they are from our company no matter where they go. Academic background and such don't matter. The key point is whether they can follow that policy. That's true. Then I'll leave personal selection to you, Ethan. Brian expanded Bessemer's hiring criteria beyond just science and engineering university graduates. Apparently, she had already been at odds with Martinez since then, but pushed through that as long as they could program. Their background didn't matter. It est no exaggeration to say that I owe my current self to her, since that est the reason I was able to join a company as a law school graduate. I hired 5 people, including former Bessemer's employees. I thoroughly drilled useful skills into those 5 from the start, and I pitched those employees to the companies they were previously dispatched to, that our company's employees don't slack off on work like Bessemer's employees, but are professionals who can do the job properly, meeting customer demands, and finishing work as quickly and reliably as possible. Of course, our hourly rate is more expensive than Bessemer, but it's certainly far more cost-effective than using useless people who drag things out. We have prepared offerings that will satisfy you in terms of time, cost, and of course, technical capabilities. They can't even begin to compare to Bessemer's people. As a result, dispatched employees from Bessemer were cut one after another. Naturally, Bessemer's performance rapidly declined and the company began to falter. And then one day, Martinez finally barged into our company. You guys cut it out already. Repaying kindness with resentment. I'll sue you for obstruction of business. What do you mean? Brianna confidently faced her former subordinate, who had set her up. Aren't you creating excellent employees to obstruct our company and sending them exclusively to our clients? Hearing those words, Brianna let out a chuckle. What's so funny? Excuse me? It's just too ridiculous. As if nurturing excellent employees is a bad thing. Martinez was at a loss for words at this. Of course, developing talented personnel is a natural duty for any company. Raising capable professionals. That is our company's policy. As a result, it's only natural that our employees are in demand. That's why I'm telling you to stop that. Our employees won't be able to find work? Though you were dismissed as COO, they used to be your cute subordinates, right? Doesn't it pain your heart? If that's the case, you just need to develop excellent employees on your end, right? I think complaining to us is barking up the wrong tree. Caring for your current employees is your job. If you think it's in danger at this rate, all the more reason to improve the system. Don't you think? No matter what Martinez said, Brianna shot down his complaints, one after another in this manner. Finally, Martinez's face turned beech red, and he started shouting angrily, "Shut up! Shut up! You ungrateful brat! It's your parents' company, you know, and you are fine with running it into the ground. If that's how you feel, can I have it back? My parents' company? It's my company now, not your parents' company. Apparently, in his excitement, Martinez didn't notice the contradiction in what he said. Seeing that, I unintentionally let out a laugh. Hey, you bastards! What's so funny? I instinctively flinched and drew back. I'm weak to this kind of thing. That's why when I was at Bessemer too, I could only obey when harshly scolded by the office manager, unable to talk back. Hey, stop that, please. Brianna swiftly stood in front of me, shielding me from Martinez. He's been my right-hand man, constantly helping me since we founded the company. I won't allow you to be rude to that important template. Okay, don't get cocky for an upstart company made by a little girl and a young punk. And who is it that came to pick a fight after nearly losing to the company made by that little girl and young punk? At Brianna's words, Martinez let out a grunt-like sound. If you're also a company CEO, compete fair and square. And what if you win that competition? Now, we're done here. Right. Please leave. As Brienne purposefully strode toward the door and opened it fully, she urged Sullivan, the vice CEO, who had tagged along with Martinez and was just standing there, unable to say anything, to leave. You'll regret this. In the end, Martinez spat out a parting line like some villain from a DV drama and left. Sullivan similarly glared at us, but ultimately followed after him without saying a single word. Once the two of them left, I felt relieved and slumped down in a chair. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with that kind of thing. It's okay. I'm good at handling that sort of thing, Brianna said with a smile. Now then, let's give that exchange to our legal counsel and have them take appropriate action. Brianna had properly recorded the conversation from the moment Martinez and the others barged in. The legal counsel is of course my friend from college, Kevin. Okay, leave it to me. When I explained the situation and handed over the recording, Kevin took action right away. They said that, since you acquainted, they'll overlook it this time. But if something like this happens again, they won't hesitate to report it to the police as a crime of intimidation. He put Martinez and Sullivan in their place like that. Perhaps due to that, after that there was no more contact from Bessemer officially or unofficially. Our company Brianna Tech continued to grow steadily after that. While in contrast, Bessemer's performance rapidly well, of course, it's a company that demands selfless devotion going against the times with outdated values. Who would feel motivated to work hard for a company like that? Apparently, the employees are also leaving one after another, having given up. It's about time to just abandon them. But Dad is, Brianna said sadly. The former CEO, Brianna's father, has been recuperating ever since he got sick. He's completely retired, so you could say it's a relationship with a company that has nothing to do with him anymore. But it seems it's still painful to see the company he built vanish. What should we do? When she says that, I can't help but think we have to do something for her. Understood. Let's figure something out. Thank you. I'm counting on you. Brianna's beaming smile made my heart skip a beat. It can't be helped. I'm weak to that smile. I immediately started taking various actions. No matter how on point my advice is, Martinez and Sullivan probably wouldn't accept it. Resurrecting Bessemer as it is now would be quite difficult. In that case, there's only one option. I consulted with Kevin and decided to orchestrate an M&A for Bessemer. Fortunately, Brianna and her father still own shares. I carefully explained to the other shareholders that Bessemer will go bankrupt at this rate and steered the conversation to get them to agree to the acquisition. Looking at the company's current performance, it was clear as day to the shareholders. They agreed without any doubts, and so an extraordinary shareholders meeting was held. We demanded the dismissal of CEO Martinez and Vice CEO Sullivan on the grounds that they severely deteriorated Bessemer's business. This is a trap. The dismissed former CEO plotted to take over our company and set a trap for me. I don't know what you were told, but don't be fooled. These guys are just smooth. Martinez desperately appealed like that, but it was futile. This is a legitimate demand. I spoke with the employees as well, and apparently that problematic overtime input software is still being used even now. Why is that? That's right. Sullivan is the one using it. I don't know about it. CEO, are you trying to pin the blame on me? An unsightly blame game began at the shareholders' meeting, and naturally both the CEO and vice CEO were unanimously dismissed. Taking back this dip-tridden company will just be a burden. If I couldn't turn it around, there's no way you young punks can. We'll see about that. Don't come crying to us later though. Martinez and Sullivan left those parting words and exited the company. I don't know where they'll go or what they'll do from here on, but they're the two who treated employees as disposable with their outdated thinking, ultimately causing a company to fail. Wherever they go, there's no way they'll be taken seriously. We made Bessemer a subsidiary, dispatching trusted employees from Bryan Tech and making it a subcontractor. And of course, its performance recovered in no time. Now it has become two pillars continuing to grow as if competing with each other. It's like a dream, isn't it? Brianna murmured. What is this current situation? You didn't abandon me when I was driven out of the company, started a company together with me and built it up to this point. It's like a dream. Brianna stood up from the co-S seat and sat down next to me on the sofa for guests. Being able to do all this? You're no ordinary person, are you? I could only respond with silence to Brianna's words. Hey, tell me who you really are. You have some kind of secret, don't you? Your true identity. I continued my troubled silence. If you won't tell me, I'll fire you. You know, no way. Left with no choice. I decided to talk. Have you heard of gifted individuals? Gifted. I've heard of it. They are people with some kind of special ability, right? So, you're saying you're one of them? Gifted refers to people born with high intelligence or exceptional talent in a certain field. I found out I was one in college. When I started programming due to Kevin's influence, my talent bloomed in no time. So, that's how it was. But until I knew that, it was really hard to live. I'd get timid when people raised their voice and become unable to argue back, or I could unexpress my opinions. Well, I couldn't make friends easily either and lived in loneliness the whole time. I couldn't even imagined what would have become of me now if I had met Kevin in college. I'm hypersensitive, flinching at slight noises and becoming unable to move. I could undo what everyone else could, or I'd become so focused on one thing that I could unsee anything else. I was like that since I was a kid. So people around me often got fed up with me or bullied me. Then I encountered programming and learned I have a talent for something too. I was able to start living positively after realizing that, but now, you don't seem like that at all. That's what's strange to me too. But I can talk to Kevin and you normally. It was the same with Kevin. But after all, you're special to me. I think you're probably as significant to me as programming. But you saw right how I was when Martinez and Sullivan barged in. At that time, when the two of them intimidated me, I froze up, unable to make a sound or move. Pathetically, I'm still like that, even as a proper adult now. If you hadn't shielded me, who knows what would have happened? It's really uncool, isn't it? So, that's how it was. Brianna made a face of understanding. Job hunting didn't go well either, and no matter how good I was at programming, I had no way to make use of it. Just when I was about to give up, Bessemer took me in, and I learned it was because of your policy. That's right, that's why I decided to follow Brian anywhere. You're my savior. So that's why you became my companion. Brino laughed happily. Then will you always accompany me from now on? Of course. For life, Brianna said mischievously. For life. It literally, how in the world should I answer this? I was at a loss and couldn't say anything. I'll always protect you from the scary monsters. So, please keep accompanying me forever. What happened? I used to be able to talk normally with the boss, but when faced with others, I couldn't speak at all. I want to eat some delicious sweet treats together. Is that okay? I will accompany you, as an accompanist. That's the only answer I could give. What kind of adventures will come after conquering this? I'm so happy, but all I can do is feel nervous, but excited about this new journey.